live?
We are live right now.
That's great.
Hmm.
It's great when technology works.
Yes, it is great. So, hey everyone, welcome back to CtrlAble, where everyone can play. Today I'm really excited because I am being joined by Cthulhu the Librarian, a channel that somehow makes cosmic horror feel cozy, bureaucratic, and honestly very relatable. If
I like how.
you're... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say cozy and bureaucratic in the same sentence. That usually doesn't go together, but it's good, isn't it?
Yes. If you've ever wondered what would happen if an elder god were being held together by paperwork and professional sarcasm, you're in the right place. Welcome, Kafilu.
Thank you. I actually thought about getting my voice modulator going, but I'll just use my regular voice. It's actually a human behind the screen, not that guy. It's probably for the best.
Or maybe you are the human version of Cthulhu.
Right. I'm just like a. I'm an avatar, and this is just actually a secret thing that we got going on, of course. But no, I
Oh,
appreciate being here. This is actually my first interview ever on YouTube. I've done some other ones, but they were kind of like not at this level. So, I appreciate it. And whoever comes in, welcome in too. And yeah.
you just mentioned, uh, welcome in. I do want to say thank you everyone for showing up. I know that this is a little bit uh, early because this was kind of last minute, but I am glad that you're here. Your channel
Thank you.
describes itself as bright cosmic horror, which almost feels almost contradictory in the best way. How did the idea of Cthulhu as an exhausted librarian come together, and what made you want to take cosmic horror in that direction instead of usually the doom and dread angle?
That's a great question. It's something I've been wondering myself since I started. Because the very first episode I did was a 55-second gag. It was about some guy named Bob. He reads the Necronomicon, goes to Cthulhu to check it out, and a spell happens, and he goes to a tavern and drinks and has fun and dances. That's it. On the surface, that's nothing. I mean, it's just kind of a simple gag, but it was the spark of something, and I realized that the misdirection and the misguidance in there could kind of start like a whole different chapter in someone's life, and that was kind of the bridge that kind of connected bright and cosmic horror for me. Because cosmic horror, as everyone knows, it's this doom and gloom reality where you've got this ineffable God in the sky, and they may know about us. They may know about us like we know humans know about ants. That's kind of the only relationship we have. And I'm not trying to disrespect the cosmic horror genre by making my Cthulhu the antithesis of what Lovecraft did. But it's just sort of how I also see life as well. In classic cosmic horror, there's kind of like this indifference to life that kind of leads to nihilism. And to be a little personal, I'm an atheist, but
Mhm.
it's kind of like where I draw my morals from. So I think what I'm trying to say in a way is that uh, if we just look at cosmic horror, we look at an indifferent universe. It doesn't care about us. It might even be malevolent. But if we look at the linguistic evolution of the word eldritch, it's
Mhm.
not actually malevolent. That's kind of like a 21st century Western ethnocentric kind of view or lens, where we make everything that we don't understand, every alien, every monster as like a horrible, scary thing, right? But if we
Mhm.
look at the true definition of eldritch, how it's the most sanitized, we see something kind of like how fairies are, I guess. You know, they live in this exotic land that we don't understand, and the danger is that we just don't understand their laws. We don't understand their magic system.
Mm,
So when humans encounter that other, that's the eldritch part of it. So, you know, even if the universe is indifferent or we don't understand it, we can still form community. We can still form friendships. You can have an elder
mm,
god like Cthulhu, have an interdimensional library with all these sorts of weird creatures and friends, and it doesn't have to make sense. There's no need for absolute cohesion. And
mm,
it's like a divine comedy, but it works. It has its own chaotic logic to it. So I guess in a way, I'm saying that, it doesn't make sense, and that's okay. You know, um, my life has been very convoluted. I grew up thinking I was going to be a linguist. I was a third culture kid, like we talked before the live started.
mm,
And for people who don't know what that is, that's just a term that means a kid who like grew up country to country. My dad was an engineer, so we would go on his projects to like different countries. And I actually grew up in China, Singapore, Thailand, while he was working on his engineering stuff. And most of my formative years was literally just going to those countries' high schools, like left and right.
mm.
And so I had to make sense of that. It wasn't a bad thing. I mean, there was a loss of friendship, obviously, but you know, um, that was kind of like the prototype to Cthulhu the Librarian, I guess. And I went to
Mm.
college, I joined the army, and that kind of cemented some ideas too. And I hope that's answering the question. I kind of went on several tangents there.
Uh, you did great. All that makes sense, especially with you traveling to different countries. It's almost like the Cthulhu the Librarian, in a way, going into these different worlds, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what it is. When I'm in Thailand, it's a Buddhist country. Everything they do is their food, their culture, their religion. It's all interconnected, but it's their own mind map to how. I'm sorry, coffee.
You're fine.
And then when I came back to yeah, and then when I came back to North America, it was a different story here too. Those two countries exist at the same time, obviously. Oh, excuse me,
Mm,
Jesus. But it makes sense, and so that's kind of how my universe works. I'm not trying to define. I'm not trying to moralize. I'm not trying to say this is the way you all should secretly be thinking, and
mm.
that's fine. That's how a good story is told. I believe in something called in media. I'm not even going to say this right. I'm going to try in medias res, or in the middle. I think it's Latin. I probably just made a fool of myself there because I don't know. But I like throwing people into the story, and they kind of come away with the thing that they want the most, and that's really what I'm doing.
Nice. In our live stream, I do want to have a shout out with Paradox Buddha. He said that he is watching this from the beginning
Oh dear.
later, and now you are a wonderful wordsmith that can only get better in time.
I like that guy. He's pretty cool.
He also said words are hard even for the best of us. And I
That's true.
agree.
By
Whenever
the way,
go ahead.
Buddha, I know you're listening to this right now. Thank you for being up at 2 or 3 in the morning and saying random stuff. It makes me laugh, especially when I'm trying to sleep or do writing. Oh
I
yeah.
agree. I do want to say that in my childhood, I had to move from place to place around in
Yeah.
Texas, and uh, I had a speech impediment, so whenever I kept moving, the best thing that I would do is just write things down, and I would make a book or two throughout my life. And I just wanted to bring that up and say that I completely understand with you and your widening with you moving and having to navigate different languages. It must have been very hard for you to do that. Mm.
It was a
So,
challenge.
so
I
with libraries, libraries show up in a lot Lovecraft inspired spaces, from Arkham Horror to Call of Cthulhu actual plays, and even real world things like game jams and live RPGs hosted in libraries, which is pretty cool. What do you think it is about libraries that makes them such a perfect home for cosmic horror and strange stories?
I'm trying to ascertain your question a little bit. Are you talking about that genre specifically, or just libraries in general?
Like, why do you think that the Lovecraft stories and cosmic horror and other strange stories is a big hit with libraries, where you have like RPGs uh, going on into libraries and different other things like that, if that makes sense.
I think I might. I think so. So I worked in the public sector in the library for like 2 or 3 years before I dropped out and decided to be a YouTuber and think I was Mr. Beast. So, but what I took away, I was a reference librarian. So my job was the computer systems and also, literally reference. If someone had a question or was trying to find a book, I was your guy, whether it was academic, personal, or documentary, whatever. That also included video games. It was a very small part. I mean, it wasn't like the Library of Congress, right? It was we had a budget, um,
Mm,
but we were also uh, near Fort Hood, which is one of the biggest army bases in the nation.
mhm,
So I saw a lot of soldiers, veterans. I'm a veteran myself, Army. So I connected with a lot of people, and one of the languages that we used was video games. Um, Personally, I didn't have anyone ask about the Call of Cthulhu RPG. I'm aware of it, um, but I've come to learn that people, especially people who have disabilities, they use video games as a language to kind of reconnect with the world at large. They don't want to
mhm,
just read; they want to connect with others, and that might go hand in hand. But I see it as a very good thing. Libraries. I'm very biased because I was a librarian, but it's one of the last third spaces that people are you know able to go to. I was born in 1990,
mhm,
and unfortunately, I've seen a lot of like third. When I say third space, I mean like public spaces people can go to. You used to have more parks and recreational activities for the public. That's kind of gone away, especially with malls. Even though
mhm,
malls are kind of like a zoo, I get that. Can be argued. But libraries are one of those last free places where you don't have to pay for much of anything. You can get. Some libraries have 3D printers that are free. Like you can print stuff for free. Um, there's accessibility with the computers too. Like I'm there to make sure people can get on Google Docs if they don't have the budget for Microsoft Word.
mhm,
I'm there to change the technology so that it's more accessible to people with blindness or things like that.
mhm.
I know that's not exactly answering the Cthulhu subgenre, um, but the library portion at least gives them access to it. I think is what I'm trying to say. Did that answer your question? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that answers most of it. Thank you for
Okay,
that. Uh, I
cool. I
want to
passed the test.
shout out. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said I passed the test. Yes.
I do want to shout out again to Paradox Buddha. He said that he stutters worse than Porky Pig when he gets excited. and he loves that when they use libraries in any medium, more so when it comes to knowledge based plot lines.
Yeah, yeah. I think the art of reading is radical. I don't mean radical in a bad way. People always say the word radical, in some kind of like nefarious way, but radical, as in it's the most pure form of activism. By reading, you're enriching your mind. You can't be manipulated. You can't be brainwashed, so to speak. But it also increases your imagination skills, right? And you can
Mhm.
pass that on. Um, and my series isn't really activist, but I would say that the library part is like if that's kind of the whole glue, the social glue to it. I want to say. So
Mhm.
when I think about third spaces, it's you can have like this 60-year-old veteran that has Vietnam era experience, and you can have like this Gen Z guy from, I don't know, a tech bro industry. They never would meet in public, but in the library they could have a conversation. So I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that kind of helps with you and the Cthulhu aspect. One of my favorite things I love about your work is how the humor lowers the barrier to entry. Cosmic horror can be intimidating, but your channel feels welcoming, even to people who might not normally touch Lovecraftian stuff. Was that accessibility intentional, or did it naturally grow out of the character and the tone?
I think that grew over time, and I really want to just take the time to say thank you. That's a huge compliment, especially from someone who's trying to build their own community. Um, it does come from a place of vulnerability, and you're right. Classic cosmic horror, it has that wall of not superiority, I guess, but it has that you can't. The world is just corrupt. It's not corrupt, but it's how do I say this? It's the cosmic horror genre is basically everything is vast, the universe is vast. Uh, we're not going to understand everything, and sucks to be human. That's kind of it. When you boil it down, even the monsters in Lovecraft weren't really described very well, but that was kind of the point. Um, and then if you want to go a little deeper, I guess we could say some of his creations were obviously like kind of a racist caricature, like the Black Goat of the Woods.
Mhm,
The propagation part of that god's ability is literally the fear of foreigners having children in Lovecraft's country. It was blatantly racist. So what I do with my fiction is invert that, and it's again about activism. I'm not so much as pointing in a direction as just having these characters exist, which their existence in itself is radical.
mhm,
Um, like one of my characters, Vistarki, um, she's a black woman. Um, and I didn't just insert her there just to be like a token or anything like that. I am legitimately interested in Yoruba religion, Nigerian culture, and things like that. And I put my interest into the series. It wasn't supposed to be activist, but I understand that it contrasts sharply with Lovecraft's stuff. Like if Lovecraft were to see my work, I'm pretty sure he would be pissed off.
mhm.
I mean, like, there's scholarship that says that he changed his mind and views at the end
Mhm,
of his life, but there's no hard evidence about that in any of the letters he wrote in his later life. Um, but it is supposed to be welcoming. Cthulhu, uh, I'm doing two things at once. So there's the cosmic horror part, which is Cthulhu is still a vast entity that is unknowable,
mhm,
right? Um, the Cthulhu the Librarian character, he's actually an avatar of the Sleeper of Relia, and that solves the problem of him being omniscient. That's beyond the human mind, right? An omniscient character, but it
mhm,
also solves a character problem in the story too. If he can solve everything with his mind without even moving, there's no story. So I created an avatar, But there's
Mhm.
also the fact that I've made him want to be Cthulhu the Librarian as well, because he's still a very powerful entity, but he's choosing this three-dimensional body. He's choosing to exist as a librarian. He's choosing to interact with all these characters like Winnie the Pooh,
Mhm.
um, and invest time and energy into their story. And I feel like that's a radical change from the whole cosmic horror genre. And as you witnessed in that story that I wrote, um, his grandfather Yog Sothoth, the gatekeeper of time, lets him do it because
Mhm.
he's interested, um, not because he feels necessarily compassion, but he feels like there's something different about this, and it's intrigue. So he allows all these characters into his life. He allows all these people into his life, these aliens into his life, and it
Mhm.
changes him. Um, and that's something I kind of grew into uh, over time. Yeah.
Oh, Paradox went over and said that your stuff goes against the norm, and he is all for it. He saw Cthulhu in his feed and instantly clicked on it and enjoyed watching everything ever since. Every character
Appreciate
you
it.
make represents something of your interests. I do think. Uh, uh, I'm not sure how you say that. Croissant Chan is there
Oh,
just to throw some chaos into the mix.
Prasad
If
Chan.
yeah, if you can come up with the best uh, thing that you did with chaos in your channel, what do you think it is, and can you explain a little bit about it?
Could you ask the question again? Sorry. What would be the most
Oh,
which episode?
what would be the best chaos event that you did in your channel
Oh,
that was in the mix?
there's so many contenders for that, but my favorite, and uh, the Cthulhu on the Go brand series, there's like 33, 34, and I love all of them. This one didn't do as good as the others, but it's still one of my favorite. It's the one where Zeus traps Cthulhu in an elevator. He does it because he's
Mm.
scared of Hera. He's scared because the library has ownership of Zeus's paternity test, and he's trapping Cthulhu because he's trying to force him to give it to him before Hera finds out. So he traps him in an anti-eldritch elevator where it neutralizes his powers. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying about like I can't have an omniscient character or an whatever because it's too powerful. So I have to
Mm,
invent ways to put him in like preventable situations. Um, so it also teases like Lovecraft fans a little bit too, not in a bad way, but like teases their appetite for more because
mm,
the elevator goes all the way up, something that Zeus did not even think about. It goes all the way up to Azathoth's domain. And if you know anything about, the blind idiot god or Azathoth, um,
mm,
he's the sleeper. He's the ultimate sleeper of reality. He's like the
mm.
apex god in the cosmic horror. So if he wakes up, everyone goes away. It's like all his dream, all of reality. So he's
Oops.
like, so there's like that tension in that elevator, but it had Aphrodite, it had Poseidon, Zeus, Cthulhu. And I remember like him. There's this moment at the end where he confronts Zeus in his office, and he says, "You know what? I've destroyed civilizations for more minor infractions." He even shows him like his past selves, like what he looked like as a huge cosmic entity, just like
Mm,
scaring the crap out of Zeus. And he has his hand on his shoulder, and there's this moment where he's like, I've done worse to people for less, and you put me in an elevator. and there's this tension build up, and then he just says, "Well, I'm glad I'm not that guy anymore. See you later, champ." um, it was just fun. It was so fun. That was chaotic. And then
mhm,
there was that one where Yog Sothoth, I made him like the HR manager over the thing. He makes Cthulhu go into Minecraft and on
mhm.
survival mode. That was so fun. That was so fun.
Oof.
I just love
I
making
need
it.
to
I
watch
love.
that one.
Oh my gosh, it was just it was stupid fun. But yeah. So I mean, I do like serious stuff like the Winnie the Pooh Cthulhu crossover. Obviously, that's the
Mhm,
mythos side, and that's super serious. Then I've got like Waffle House,
mm,
and
mm.
then and then I kind of do a bit of everything because I have so many interests. But yeah.
Well, Waffle House, Jonas Brothers.
Oh my God. But yeah, I don't know. I always find my wife is actually my inspiration too because she was a chef. Well, she used to be a chef,
Mhm,
and a lot of what she does, and if you've noticed, food is a very big part of my channel too. Like I literally have a crossover with Fumiko Kitsune Fox and
mhm,
him doing like a dungeon meshy, delicious and dungeon type of stuff where they're cooking for aliens or things like that. So food is like a huge. They're operating on like a floating restaurant in space. So I just like food. But her
nice.
humor, I draw her ideas from my fans and from my wife. Like there was one where oh, this was a good one too.
Mm,
There was one about a unicorn, and everyone could see the unicorn, but Cthulhu could not see the unicorn because he doesn't know how to have fun.
mhm.
And he would only start to see the unicorn if he had fun, or like was beginning to not be so serious. And that came from one of my fans. I forgot. Yeah, she's in my server. Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, she's kind of busy right now, but I like to draw ideas off my subscribers and stuff like that. We have a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for backtracking, but at CtrlAble, we talk a lot about agency, especially how games give people control, creativity, and community. Tabletop games and actual play, especially in library spaces, seem to offer that in a really unique way. So what do you think about tabletop RPGs do especially well when it comes to giving people a sense of ownership over the story?
Right. Um, I'm putting on my reference librarian cap on right now because I'm thinking about that now. So I know it's a scary word nowadays, but DEI, you can't not talk about that when you're talking about things like that, which is important. I hate that it's politicized. It's still important. So when I think about, you know, we had a lot of autistic children who came into the library, and how will we make it, a proper space for them? Well, we'd get games that they could play with. A lot of them are tactile learners. So, for
Mhm,
example, we had like this game called Big Blue Blocks. And think of like a huge Jenga puzzle or whatever. Like you would just be able to stack things. It's kind of like
mhm,
its own Fortnite thing. I can pull up like an image of it for you, but they're like big puzzle pieces. But it was like how we used to grow up in those like bouncing castles, like
yeah,
games that our parents used to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mhm,
So it's like those toyish kind of products. Um, So, the autistic kids love them. I mean, the regular kids, sorry, I didn't mean to say regular. I should say like neurodivergent, I'm, my bad.
you're fine.
Um, but they had a way where they were playing at the same level, at an equitable level with the other kids as well. The instructions were not um, built for a certain mode of learning. There were multiple.
Mm,
And what I like about it, it's kind of like how we talked about Minecraft before, where the creative mode allows you to do so much on your own at your own pace.
mm,
And that's kind of what I like about it. And libraries are a great place for, you know, accessibility because they get to learn literally the building blocks of playing games.
mhm,
And I didn't have enough time when we were in the comment section, but one thing I wanted to bring up was how games have like easy mode, medium, hard, or whatever.
yes.
Um, a lot of people, unfortunately, I think it's gotten better. I think I brought this up before, but they understand that easy mode doesn't just mean like um, something that's uh, hmm, I want to say this right because I my thoughts are zooming. People experience games in very different ways, and some people don't want to like go on the main quest line to like shoot something, excuse me, or fight something or whatever. They want to just
Mhm.
enjoy the atmosphere. It makes them
Mhm.
feel part of the game in a different way. And Assassin's Creed is a good one because
Mhm.
it's about ninja assassins defeating the Templars and fighting the Apples of Eden, whatever. And you go on these world quests or whatever. But there's also a learning side of it too, like in Assassin's Creed Origins, the desert one.
Mhm.
Um, you can run around as Cleopatra and go to her kingdom and just walk around. And I read some articles about some history professors who've used that, and
Mhm.
because they did such an excellent um, archaeological recreation of the build to walk around and say, hey, this is actually kind of what we think it looked like back then. And
Mhm.
so going back to tabletops, you can make a 3D model, a 2D model, things like that. Um, and you can show that in an environment for adults too.
Mhm.
Um, and this is another key pointer thing. A lot of autistic adults, a lot of ones with DID or an adult with like a learning disability. A lot of them feel like they've been left behind. They didn't get that proper education, and so a library is kind of like it's not a classroom, but you're able to learn at your own pace, and that's the beauty of having a
Mhm.
third space too. Um, so I kind of went on a roundabout tangent there. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but
Mhm.
I was trying to answer that the best I could.
You are fine. I do want to shout out a couple of people. Oh, Bree Draganus and Tales of Atonement have just joined us,
Well,
so
Tales of
welcome.
Atonement. That's my buddy Agni. She does a remarkable YouTube channel. Check her out sometimes, folks. She's really good. She has her own series.
Nice. Yes, Tales of Atonement. They said, well, they asked, accessible. We, on this channel with CtrlAble, we are, a channel for disabled Nintendo gamers, and we also take care of our community. So, uh, hopefully that kind of helps with that question in chat. Uh, the next question was going back to your food. You mentioned uh, food, and that's kind of giving cozy apocalypse energy. There's something weirdly comforting about your version of the apocalypse. Forms and triplicate, and delayed endings, monsters arguing about etiquette. Do you think that cozy apocalypse vibe resonates right now because of how overwhelming the real world already feels?
Um, Short answer, yes. Well, 100%. We live in a very postmodern world, and postmodern that term gets tossed around a lot. It simply means, at least to me and to historians, it's just we're out of a mythic bubble where no singular narrative really holds. We're people can interpret a vast amount of different mythopoetic stories or religions or cultures, even combine them.
Mm.
We're at a very meta aware kind of level, and meta is another one of those words that get tossed around. So I'll break that down. It just means that we're self-aware of the thing we're consuming. And that's not to say that our ancestors didn't, but um, I'm saying beliefs and thoughts and principles and philosophies were a little more isolated when you go all the way back. Um, and so there's a feeling of loss in a sense of not being around culture. And I think that's what I try to unify with my series. The characters are
Mhm.
never doing something by themselves, they're always interacting. And that's really important to me because that's what family and community is about.
Mhm.
Not we are one, we are the hive mind kind of thing, but it's like the food is when community comes together. Food is recognition that we are, oh, this is what our life is about. It's symbolic, it's literal in that we're making food that represents our culture, but it's also symbolic in that we are hitting refresh uh where oh goodness, it's like we're reaffirming the things we believe in every time we eat together. I am saying that I see you, and this is the culture that we share, and that is something I'd like to continue.
Mhm.
In a way, I've kind of got this philosophy, I guess. But out there, the world is on fire. There's so many chaotic things that are beyond our control, but that's okay. Right now, we're just eating a meal, and we can do that again tomorrow. So, yeah, yeah, food is huge.
You actually kind of reminded me of an old saying, uh, with today's world. Don't worry, be happy.
To be, yeah. I don't think so. I'm trying really hard not to like knock on the cosmic horror subgenre, but one thing that it's kind of funny because I was talking to some of my friends about this, but I've absolutely ruined the canonical Cthulhu for myself. Like I don't find him interesting anymore. I can't read Lovecraft anymore because I feel like I gave him a personality. I didn't want to like take away his fangs as like a huge cosmic being, but I wanted to develop what that might look like if I peel back the curtain. Like, what are the gods doing? How does that
Mhm.
relate to aliens and humans? And what does it all mean? How is it meaningless but makes sense? How do we live in these contradictions? And food is a unifier. I've made it was kind of just a gag early on. I mean, I wasn't doing this huge Shakespeare like interpretation in the beginning. I just
Mhm.
thought it'd be funny if you like croissants. It was funny to
Mhm.
me. But over time, it kind of became this symbolic thing. Like, oh, he's not just he's trying to have comfort food. I'm trying to have comfort food. I can relate to that.
Mhm.
So it's like food is just a reoccurring theme. Um, Pooh likes honey. That was my draw to Winnie the Pooh as well.
Mhm.
Um, and if I may say one more thing about it,
Sure.
I'm very interested in post myth stuff, and that's why I like the postmodern age because um, as a fan of all these series, I'm so tired of
Mhm.
prequels and interquels and just like reinterpretations of like everyone's seen Alice in Wonderland 2 or the remake or the goth version of her. Like, okay, we've seen Alice in Wonderland. What
Mhm.
is she doing after? Like, my Alice is in her 20s, 30s, and I have her going on this adventure with Winnie the Pooh, who is
Mhm.
also post myth storybook. So seeing them not like as adults losing their innocence or losing their childlike nature, but it's interesting seeing how they evolve and seeing how food is like a crucial part of their identity as well.
Mhm. Well, with you saying that, we did get a couple of comments that I want to shout out. Bree Reganis says that he loves you. Uh, Tales
Love all you
of
guys.
me too. Paradox Buddha said, food connects people in the best ways. And it absolutely does. I don't know if you heard about this, but every culture supposedly has their own version of bread. So bread kind of reunites the world, if that makes
Yeah. I wish I had it in my house.
sense.
I'd stuff this whole room with bread if it was acceptable. Probably is.
Yeah, let's hope that it doesn't perish, though. you
Yeah.
know. Will also says the golf Alice is peak.
What?
The golf Alice is peak. So
Yeah,
there
she's
might be
cool.
some competition.
She's cool. I wasn't dogging on Hot Topic Alice. I mean, that's cool. Whatever.
so, uh, this, uh, this was pretty interesting and talking about coziness. Let's get back to libraries. We've
Sure.
seen libraries host game jams, life size, Arkham horror events, and even live Call of Cthulhu performances. If Cthulhu the Librarian were wanting a real world library program, what kind of event would he begrudgingly approve and complain about the entire time?
Oh my god. Mm. This is such a juicy question. I don't. This could actually be an episode. Um, well, I mean, Halloween's always a thing. I guess you could dress up as Croissant Chan or something, or maybe his least favorite human. Maybe you can pretend to be human. That might scare him. uh, yeah, I don't have a good answer right now. I'm gonna have to come back to you on that. Honestly, there's got to be a good answer. I'm sure. I'm sure my people listening will come up with something.
Talking about people listening, Bree Dragonis came up with a pretty interesting idea: unicorns.
That would scare the crap out of him. Yeah. I think she's referring to that episode I was talking about. Oh, you know what? Dressing up as
Mhm.
Zeus. Dressing up as Zeus.
Makes sense with the elevator.
Zeus would never let it go. And man, you're just giving me material. I could definitely do this. This is great. I'm gonna write this down.
Well, I'm
I don't know
glad.
why. I don't know. You know, I don't know why I made Zeus such a pinata in my series, but it's so fun to do. Even though Zeus does
Mhm.
like absolutely nothing to him, well, relatively, but they
Tales of Atonement actually came up with another interesting idea, which I want to shout out. Drag
okay.
Hour with 4.
Yes, yes. So I've got a very funny what's the name of that? Let me look this up before I just go off. Are you familiar with Norse sagas? Do you read any Norse material?
A little bit.
Okay. I want to be sure I get the title right. 1 second. What is? You're gonna like this. I promise. Okay. The Thry You know what? I'll just send it to you. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that crap. It's called The Lay of Thrym, though. It's a story, and it's a very popular one from ancient times back in their
Mm-hmm.
day. So Freya is betrothed to this giant who stole Thor's hammer. So what he does, he comes up with a plot. He's going to pretend to be Freya, and so the Asgardians make him a wedding dress, and they put it on Thor. And so Thor pretends to be Freya, pretty much. So on the wedding day, the giant comes out. He's all excited, whatever. And I'm very paraphrasing. You got to read it. It's so funny. But he eventually kicks the giant's butt, gets his hammer. But yeah, but it's his interpretation of it. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it's possible. That's actually a very interesting point too, because Cthulhu doesn't really have a gender per se. I say he,
Mm-hmm.
him. I give him like a male kind of adjacent side, but truthfully, he doesn't really have a gender.
Mm, yes, because it is an octopus, almost.
Yes.
Uh, uh, Tails went back to Zeus and says that Zeus kind of deserves it on principle. And Paradox Buddha also said Zeus is the butt of a lot of jokes to a bunch of creators.
Right. Yeah. All right. I
So
just opened
that
my.
was some good uh, suggestions, everybody. Uh,
I like how Tales of Atonement said Zeus deserves it on principle. That's very true.
exactly. So, well,
Um,
go ahead.
no, go on.
So for people discovering your channel for the first time, especially gamers, readers, or just folks who love inclusive creative spaces, what do you hope they feel after spending time in your corner of the multiverse?
Well, you actually said one of the words I was going to use as an answer. I hope their time is well spent. Um, Time is a commodity that we can't get back. And I've always said whoever invents a time machine is going to be the richest person in the world, right?
Hmm.
Um, I want people to feel comfortable, especially with the food stuff. And I'm not like Nelson Mandela. I don't have like some kind of like huge wave of paradigm shifting. You know what I'm talking about? Like I'm not. I love telling stories. I love making community. I like people having fun and enjoying themselves. And if I can get that, that's great. If I can get someone who tags along for a little bit or a while, that's icing on the cake for me.
Hmm, that was pretty perfect, quite honestly. I couldn't come up with a better answer myself. So you did a great
Enjoy
job.
yourselves. Maybe have some waffles while you eat. I'll
Mhm.
have some waffles too at Waffle
So
House.
yes. So I am going to point the camera to our live audience. I want to see if you guys have any questions that you guys might want the answer to with Cthulhu.
Oh no. Oh no.
So go ahead and type it. I am pretty curious.
Oh dear. Oh no.
while while we are waiting, uh, I'll go ahead and ask you a short mini question. 2026 has just started. What are you planning with your channel? Do you have a little sneak peek or something that you can tell us about this year?
Uh, well, as far as plans are concerned, I'm thinking about getting it copyrighted. Obviously, public domain characters, you can't copyright that. That'd be insane. But I can copyright Cthulhu the Librarian. Um, and I'm hoping to turn the Winnie the Pooh saga into a traditionally published book and an audiobook. Depends on how far I get. I'm reprising the whole thing, so I'm taking literally a year worth of body of work, making it better at the skill level I'm at now, and trying to make that negotiably tangible and more cohesive. So that's kind of the plan. If you were talking about like what I have like coming up next, it's a crossover between um, Hinduism and Cthulhu again. They're going on a road trip, so to speak, to get printer ink, which is really boring and sounds mundane, but it's the car that they're on, and it's fueled by negative emotions. It could be positive emotions, but Cthulhu wakes up and he has cosmic disdain at the ready, so it's just like makes him go faster than the speed of light, and they can't get out of it. And the customer service representative is his grandfather, Yog Sothoth, so it's just going to be a
Mhm.
fun time.
Oh, that sounds funny. It kind of reminds me, I forgot what movie it was, but there was this scene that had somebody trying to sell a car, and they went over and actually sold the car to the owner of the uh, dealership. And it was their car.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, a lot of my stories, they come from just conversations with my friends, uh, and that's kind of like what it all is. Like time and community again goes back to that.
Mm,
Like Voidmonger. I don't know if you know that character, but he started out as a he's pretty much a black hole sales merchant. He's like a sentient mini-sized black hole dude,
mm,
and he's been called like Archer Sterling in a way. Like he's got that sleazy romantic James Bond vibe. I don't know, but uh, he actually started because of some guy I encountered when I started my channel. He was like a guy from Germany. He worked on
mm,
peppers and glowworms, and I was thinking of doing an episode for him because we talked about peppers and glowworms. And so I
mm.
thought about all these merchants, and I remember the prototype to Voidmonger was like he was trying to sleep, and all these merchants kept coming to his door to try to sell him stuff, and one of them was black holes. And that character became what he is today, pretty much.
Interesting. Well, let's get to some of these questions here. The first couple is from Brill, sorry, Bree, Dree. When are you doing your collab with Koatika from Tales of Atonement?
Uh, I don't think we planned anything yet. I know they're talking about Bree's actually one of the active members for the Tales of Atonement
Mm,
series. We can talk offline after. I don't believe we had anything solidly planned, but I'm more than happy to talk to you guys whenever, when I'm preferably awake, not 3 a.m. But yeah, yeah. Well, whenever is good.
Nice. Bree also asked, where do you see your channel in 5 years?
Am I getting interviewed for a job? Oh,
I
jeez.
don't know.
uh, successful. I don't know. I monetized. I monetized because to get a little personal. I'm going through a bankruptcy right now. It sucks, but hopefully it'll wipe away a lot of debt. And I used to be pretty good with money when I got out of the army and got out of my library job. Unfortunately, it was just too much. So besides my VA disability from my time in the army, I hope if I when I get monetized, that'll be another stream of income for my family for me. Uh, Besides that, I hope that more people across the world can enjoy the Winnie the Pooh Cthulhu Saga specifically, and embrace libraries. I think one of my biggest goals on my channel is to get people to renew their library card.
Mhm.
That's really important. If you are here and you don't, if your library card's out of date, get on that. Just kidding. But um, yeah, just I hope to keep doing it for as long as I can.
Nice. Bring. You have been asking so many good questions. Oh, let's do
She does that.
another one. What positive influence has making this channel been on your life?
Well, I'm not that depressed anymore, so that's good. Community.
Well, that's good. Paradise Buddha says, uh, do I'm sorry, I might botch this up. Do intend to give Cthulhu a love interest. I think it would be hilarious for him to work through those emotions,
Uh,
but he is fine being Arrow Ace.
I don't think so, and I don't like to say a hard no to things, but that would ruin the series, I think, because then it would become about their relationship. If that makes sense. Like, I still think of him as a very ancient being, and part of his elasticity as a character is being able to spend time doing that with whatever conversation he's doing. If I introduce a love interest, then that humanizes him a little too much, I want to say. I mean, it could be an alien he falls in love with. I'm not sure what that would be, but I'd have to spend time negotiating that. And it's not a bad idea. I'm not saying that, but it would interrupt a lot of the things I'm doing. Plus, I'm juggling 3 podcasts: the Winnie the Pooh Cthulhu Saga, Consciousness EXE with Lovecraft and Dewey, and
Mhm,
Cthulhu on the Go. Plus, I'm doing Famiko and Cthulhu in that restaurant. Um, what else am I doing? Quest for Elder Gods, which is like oh, excuse me, which is a crap post for dark fantasy. I'm doing Waffle House stuff.
mhm,
I'm busy. I can't.
mhm.
I would literally be adding something else. That's not to say that's a long answer. I'm sorry, but I, to be honest, I did think about teasing something with Famiko because they work so well together, but I didn't really. I kind of I nipped that in the bud just a little bit. I mean, who knows? The future is, unwritten, maybe, but I, I just can't see myself doing it. I don't know.
That makes perfect sense. What I like to tell people, especially to you and whoever else I work with, uh, that whenever you come up with an idea, uh, there's no ideas that are bad ideas. There are always good ideas and good intents in those ideas. And some of them may be better than others. And it sounds like maybe having a wife
Well,
might complicate it a little bit, you know?
well, I definitely haven't banished ideas to the shadow realm. Some of them I regret doing. uh, but even giving romance to Vistarki, Madeline, or Croissant-chan, I was well into episode 140 or 50 before I even entertained that because I wanted the women in my series to have their own agency, their own autonomy. I wanted them to be able to exist and grow themselves. Not saying that a relationship would, you know, tie down their autonomy too much, but it would mean that part of their existence would be fulfilling whatever role in that relationship would be. And I think female characters, they tend to be thrown into a relationship too fast. And so as a male, I wanted to sort of push away from that, let them do their own thing, um, explore their own interests, hobbies, what have you, their own storyline. And even though they have community together, I didn't want them to be obligated to each other necessarily. And I feel like relationships. I'm kind of framing it in like in a negative way. I don't mean that to do that, but um, as a writer, when you introduce a relationship, you suddenly have to entertain that relationship.
Mhm.
So Cthulhu is my narrator. He does everything. He's elastic for every single part of my channel, my
Mhm.
series. If I give him that relationship, the series changes. So I need to kind of be careful about that.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Bree also said, "OMG, I love Sterling Archer."
Uh, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of annoyed at Netflix because they took Archer off, or they were planning to. I don't know if they're still doing it, but that was one of my favorite shows. Like Lana, love
E-
it.
e- exactly. It is a little adult, but it is a little funny. uh, Bree also said, "Nice one" to Paradox. And they also said that they are in love with the Pew stories. So it looks like you have at least one fan for the Pew video.
That's cool. Yeah, that's sort of the heart. I want to say of my whole series. Like Cthulhu on the Go, that's my flagship. But the Pooh series is kind of what started it all. I actually started on TikTok. Oh, excuse me. I started on TikTok before I made a YouTube channel, and I blew up a little bit. Not like viral, but there was a lot of interest, especially with millennials and Gen X,
Mhm.
about Winnie the Pooh because that was their childhood. And
Mhm.
I'm very careful. I don't just pump out Winnie the Pooh Cthulhu episodes like I do everything else. That's not to say I don't take care of the others, but I'm very aware of how important this character is in a generational frame.
Mhm.
I want to get it right. You know, I have to toe the line between a mythic storybook childhood character who everyone grew up with and an interpretation of his more adult, mature self that people will still possibly like. So I toe the line there. And then Cthulhu, no one really has a frame of reference for a talking Cthulhu because he doesn't talk in the canon. Much
Mhm.
like Godzilla doesn't talk. It's like I've given a personality to a kaiju pretty much.
Mhm.
Uh, so I have to make these two characters who would never meet or interact possibly work together somehow and save something. Um, which is difficult in itself. I was like, what have I gotten myself into? But I think people love it for the comfort factor we were talking about.
Mhm.
So I've got all these, characters interacting. I grew up on a game called Kingdom Hearts, so I think that was my
Mhm.
inspiration growing up. Yeah,
That
just
was a good one.
Kingdom Hearts, my friend. That's literally my series, Kingdom Hearts. But yeah,
Uh, so, Bree also came up with another awesome idea. Uh, it'd be weird, but maybe it would go the route of Hotel Transylvania.
yeah, anything's possible. Um, what I do is I every year I look at what's becoming public domain, and I kind of anticipate like that. So I think Felix the cat became public domain recently, or Popeye.
Hmm.
I've just been thinking about who I can include. Um, Also, I want to say my version of Winnie the Pooh. Uh, I've made a lot of effort to make him not look like the Disney one because I'm very afraid of Disney lawyers.
Hmm. Yeah, they
They're
are
on.
scary.
They
That
are. They have done
good.
I don't want to give him a reason to come after me. So,
Yeah, Nintendo is unfortunately kind of that same way at times.
oh yeah, they guard their IPs like Smaug the Dragon, of course. I
Yeah.
get it. Um,
Tells
I
also said that there's other good ships in the series anyway, like Vistarchi and Hephaestus.
I'm sorry, what?
Tells said there's other good ships in the series anyways. I'm guessing they're talking about friendships,
Oh,
but
oh,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vistarchi and Hephaestus.
Yeah, yeah. Those are two. I was really the Starkey is one of my favorite characters I've ever made. I was trying really hard to give her uh, a character equal to her, and also not like take away from her as well. And I
Mm,
think Hephaestus was a good. I did a good job. What I wanted to avoid on the Hephaestus side is everyone treats like a blacksmith, like in video games. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about right away. The
mhm.
typical you're even nodding right away, like you already know. Like the blacksmith, right? The brooding. He's ash and soot. You know, dirty. He doesn't want to. He's grumpy. He's like whatever. So I wanted to kind of avoid that. He's. But I think the myth in Greek mythology also helps a little bit too because he was cast out of Olympus literally for how he looked. Like his own mother did that.
Mhm.
Um, that was the myth, I guess. So I kind of wanted to show like an older, more seasoned Hephaestus, and it worked, I think.
A couple people said that that is a very good idea. Uh, Another
Yeah,
thing from Paradox Buddha, there is a Pooh horror movie. I believe they're talking about the Pooh Blood and Honey movie. So take that, what you will.
I will never watch that horror slop.
I
I,
agree.
I can't. I can't. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because part of the reason I'm doing the Pooh Saga, apart from everything else, one of the reasons I'm doing it is to refute that horror slop.
Hmm.
I hate
Hmm.
it. Yeah,
I know that I'm going to be controversial, and I do love video games, but to me, the only good horror movie is FNAF. And I'm just being honest, FNAF and FNAF 2.
as being what?
Just being honest. The FNAF and FNAF 2 is the only good horror movies out there right now.
Okay. I grew up on Stephen King, and one thing I realized is that the horror that Stephen King writes about the monsters aren't as scary as the bad parents. Because, these kids are growing up and they have to live in that house. And these parents who are abusive, manipulative, gaslighting, extremely religious to the point where they're neglecting their child's health, things like that, that's
Hmm.
terrifying. That's terrifying. It's the clown from It, yeah, Pennywise. Okay, I get it, cosmic horror or whatever. But it was the parents that scared me when I was reading that stuff. Misery,
Hmm.
The Shawshank Redemption, Salem's Lot. That the people were the horror. The people were the scary monsters. It wasn't the monsters, but I get it.
Paradox Buddhist says, "Love me some Kingdom Hearts," and I agree with
Yeah,
them.
Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically for me.
That was a very good question from the audience. Thank you, everybody. This
Sure,
has been such a great conversation, and thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
of course.
I'll have links to Cthulhu the Librarian down below, so if you enjoy
Oh,
the.
uh,
Hmm?
if I may say one final thing,
Sure.
I think everyone knows. All the writing, of course, is mine to claim. I've 100% written it. Uh, I want to address this because it's important to me, at least. I do want to get in touch with real artists along the way. I do use generative AI, and I think as I get bigger, I think it'd be more responsible to hire someone that actually has done craft for a while. I think it's been a crutch for a while. That's kind of something I want to transition away from, just for that authenticity. Um, I'm surprised you didn't actually ask me about AI in general, but um, yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted to put that out there. If anyone knows any artists that may like to work on anything, I'd be happy to talk with them.
um, hello, Will Craig. I know that we were trying to wrap it up. Bree did say new subscriber. So thank you very much, Bree, from both me and
There
Cthulhu.
you go. You're gonna be at 1,000 subscribers before long. Look at that. Look at
Maybe.
that.
But I'll have links to Cthulhu the Librarian down below. So if you enjoy cosmic horror with humor, heart, and an unreasonable amount of paperwork, definitely go check out the channel. And to everyone
I will.
watching, whether you're here for game, story, or a slightly unstable reality, you're always welcome at CtrlAble, because gaming, storytelling, and community should include everyone. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.